All right, cool. Hi, everybody. Um, as everybody is coming in, I'll adjust a little bit. Um, but I'm actually starting to put these on YouTube too, so I put my announcements here up front, and I might start streaming on YouTube as well. Why not just have another camera next to this one that runs off my big machine? Anyway, the announcements for this week is, the really big one is, it was my 40th birthday, and just by accident, I got my book republished for the first time in 6 years. It's the old one, but this is my queer chapter, and it's back up again. Now you can get it on Amazon. I published it myself 6 years ago, and then we got pregnant, and I get to do all this stuff. So this book on the birth of medical marijuana by the queers of San Francisco during the horrors of the AIDS crisis is a piece of queer history that we're really proud of. And so you can just buy it on Amazon now, and it just makes me so happy. The other big news is that the Discord started. Loki's mama, hi. And so I haven't had a chance to contribute very much to it so far, but already it's been a bunch of really great people studying cool things, and I am excited for this like I haven't been anything. Hi, Leslie. I haven't been excited for anything in a long time because I am that geriatric millennial who came of age just as Facebook started to get big, and it used to be a really great online community where I could talk to people from all over that I've met and get great ideas. And, of course, that's kind of died. And Twitter was fascinating for me to learn, but no one ever talked to me on Twitter. I don't know why, but I didn't do well on Twitter. And so I haven't had, online community in a long time, and all of a sudden this Discord, there's already a number of key people there. It's like, this is great, and I'm so excited for it. So far the name of the Discord is the Church of Why Not, ? Because that's what came to me during my last book tour 6 years ago, just when I found out we were going to be parents. And there's something I like about that, because I think a lot of us, since most people who are watching this tend to be in the United States, a lot of us probably grew up in the church, and for me, I miss the community that I had there. The religion didn't happen to turn out to be for me, but the community really was, and I would love to find more of that, especially now that I'm in France, don't speak the language well, I can't find anyone to talk to about paranormal activities and drugs, which are pretty much my main interest at this point, and religion and history and science. The Discord's really exciting, and if people want to come check it out, that sounds great. The last thing is, I am so appreciating all the comments and all of the DMs, but I am definitely behind, so I'm working hard to try to catch up on all the messages that I'm getting, and I appreciate all of them, and I read all of them, but I'm not quite caught up, especially because, hey Michelle, well hi, hey MC, Annaby, McAnnaby, and so it's great to see all these names that I'm starting to get to know. I don't know, it's so good to find this community on TikTok, it means so much to me. So I want to, so for everybody DMing me, that's great. If you switch to Discord, I'll probably be able to answer quicker, because with DMs, I can only use the TikTok app, and it's fucking terrible. It just isn't set up for community. That's not what they're trying to do, which is too bad. But I am working to catch up. I'm a little bit behind because I actually had a pretty big thing happen this week. Oh, David, the math and Mrs. Yes, I will answer that. But the last thing I'll say is, something really special happened this week. My wife just surprised the hell out of me more than ever in my entire life. And after a great week of a birthday with my family being in town, she's like, well, let's just have a nice Italian dinner for your down the street for your birthday. And so I said, sure, and I walk in, and there are 5 of my best friends from around the world, from Tucson, Arizona, and Bangladesh, and it's someone just coming in from Ghana, and even now I'm tearing up, and it was amazing to be with them. It also completely screwed up my work schedule. I thought I was going to get stuff done this week and this weekend, and all of a sudden, my buddy's taking me to Amsterdam for 2 nights, which is crazy without the kids. I haven't been without the kids that long in forever. But it does put me behind on answering all of your messages as well. But as I get more time to do this, hopefully, as I can figure out a way to make it work financially, and maybe the book pays for it a little bit, hopefully I can do more of this and answer more questions and spend more time doing this, because that would mean a lot to me. The first question that I see, so feel free to throw your questions in there. I try to watch them as they go. The first question from David, do you see any connection between math and mysticism? Oh, and I thought you had commented this before. You might have, actually. Because I've seen 2 or 3 people comment about this. So, I do believe in that connection, but not because I really know a lot about it. I've had so many smart people in my life who have this deep intuitive knowledge of math, who see it working out into how the flow of the universe works. The kind of thing that I think some of us get when we're on high levels of psychoactives. The people I know who are really into math see that. There's something about it being at the basis of the universe, that it's always true. It doesn't matter which systems you're using. This stuff is just there. Numbers as archetypes. Not only does the math, some of this math is just there, like the irrational numbers. And we studied irrational numbers for a long time. There are all these mathematicians that work on irrational numbers, even though there was no practical application for it. And then we start conquering electricity, and we realize to do the calculations for electricity, you need irrational numbers. And they were just sitting there waiting for us. So I don't know enough about math to back up what I'm saying. I always assume if I haven't read a book on a topic, I don't really know enough to comment on it greatly. But I've met some really sharp people who believe in that, and that's what makes me believe in it, just like I believe in some of the stuff I believe that you can't always prove. The math, mysticism, and religion connection is fascinating, I think. Is your little wall thingy a religious thing? My little wall thingy. That's a good name for it. I like that. I don't know. It's a hobby, really, I would say. A line you're going to hear from me every week on every live is what Robert Heinlein said about religion. Religion is great because it's like dandruff. It gives somebody something to screw around with and tinker with. And so, for me, this is a really great way to tinker and keep myself out of trouble. I hope that it makes me a better person as I put these connections together, especially in the tree of life. I feel like I understand parts of myself better. And yes, it is absolutely part of my religion. The deeper part of my religion is actually below the camera, and I'm probably never going to show that, but I have altars in the 8-9 directions. So I have different altars set up to different spirits that I feel connected to and I work with. And this is more of an intellectual exercise of how I think those spirits interact, but I'm also not holding on too much for this. One of the funny parts about doing this video that got big with this is how many people came in and said, you're wrong here, and they're just, it's unconscionable how wrong you are here. You're not using base 12. You don't consider 13 to be the magic number. It's, that's why one of the key rules in our Discord is treat it like improv. Yes, and, not no, but. So this is stuff I pulled from a bunch of different sources that I feel like is true and kind of works for me. Sorry, my hands are really dry. But I don't hold on too tightly to it. I just think it's very interesting. What are the other directions besides the 4? This is something I picked up from that that poet who taught me so much about death. I remember his name, but there are not, in some South American religious cultures, there are 9 directions. Let's see if I can remember, but you have the 4 cardinal directions, then you have up, then you have down, then you have inward, and then you have outward. So that's not quite all the 9, but I'll have to think about it. I'll have to try to think of his name. Maybe text my wife. Martin Prechtel. Martin Prechtel. You can look up his stuff on grief online, Martin Prechtel. And after my grandmother passed, I was driving across the country and I just listened to this over and over again. I've read his new work coming out. It's just a beautiful brand of mysticism with a lot of humor in it. And I really think that you have to have humor in your mysticism. Wall of knowledge, thank you. Would you ever convert your wall to a shareable PDF or image online? Yes, I would. It's kind of hard to figure out exactly how to do it, and I think that's what I'm trying to do with the Discord. Like, I'm moving towards that, but as I say, I don't have much time for all of this, so I can't spend a bunch of time organizing it. But I can take quick pictures. Already I have some of the basics up on the Discord under each number. So that's what I'm moving towards, is making this shareable. And shareable in a way that we can all work on it. Because I've gotten so many great lines from people already, and I get lost in the comments sometimes. I have to like work through the comments like a job, like an inbox, and make sure I'm not missing any of the smart things that I can put on the wall and, you know, and move on to share with everyone else. Lizzie asks, are you making a book? I have, yes. So thank you for asking. This just came out again for the first time in 6 years, my queer cannabis book about the heroes of San Francisco. So this is on Amazon. It's at the top of my link tree, and I'm really proud of it. If you know a young queer kid who wants to learn about history, it's great. It's a graphic novel. I made it with my friend Sumac, and I'm just really proud of that. Good day, everyone. Wow, let me make sure I get to the bottom so it keeps going. How do you reconcile having children? I have trouble. I can't stick with a decision on how to reconcile having children. I didn't really make a choice. We just happened to end up pregnant. I don't know where Gemini is in my chart. My wife knows my chart. I don't. But yeah, the kid thing, if you make good kids, they say that's the best thing you can do in your life. So, yeah, I mean, I could go on about the kid thing. It's really great. But I wasn't even sure if I was going to be a parent, and it just kind of happened, and it was made life very simple or straightforward. Like, as soon as I opened up the phone, I looked at her face, I'm like, oh, that's what this video call's about. Then I was like, oh, I know what my life's doing. I'm leaving New York. I'm going out to Colorado. I'm getting a regular job. Like, straightforward. There's one way to do this, and we'll do it that way. So, anyway, the kid thing's great, though. We spent all day with the kids at the beach, and you know, it's I could be working on like my more books that people weren't buying, and instead I'm doing the kid thing. But I actually am working on more books in that series. This cannabis graphic novel series is based on Moby Dick. I spent 5 years researching cannabis, and then I shouldn't use that word too often. They'll ban me for that. So I might start doing that stuff on YouTube. I might even explain each of the chapters on YouTube, because I have 3 of the books written. But I have the plan of 135 books, not all of them being that long, based on the 135 chapters of Moby Dick to explain the history of that plant, as well as the endocannabinoid system that makes it interact with us in such a strong way. So that's my passion project. I've been working on that for a lot of years now, but as I work on that now and I write it, I don't need to do that much more research because I have most of it done. And so the invite to join live. I don't know what that means when something pops up and says invite to join live. And so where was I? On the books. After I do this graphic novel series on this plant, I want to do the next one on the supernormal. Because of Dr. Jeffrey Kripal, my friend Laurent here in France turned me on to Kripal's work, and I'm like, oh, there's so much science behind ESP and reincarnation and all this different stuff. And so now I'm just reading in that, just like I read about that plant for a couple of years. Now I'm reading deeply in that just to try to get the basics in all these different directions. And hopefully I'll make a long graphic novel series about that 5 to 10 years from now. But, inshallah. Who knows how long you'll survive. Discord link is in my bio. Yes, so the Discord is new. I'm still working on it, and I'm very stretched thin with a bunch of friends showing up for a surprise visit here for my 40th birthday. But it's already a source of joy to me, and if you're into this stuff, hopefully we can share it together. So yeah, I have my link tree has a lot in it now, which is exciting. What do you think about the number 11? I think there's something magic about the number 11. I don't exactly know what it is, but I would love to hear from somebody else. I don't even have an entry for 11 here, I'm ashamed to say. Melville is the GOAT. Amen. Also, Melville's a taste, but sometimes authors make sense to you because there is a similarity there. Melville was an obsessive Dutchman who grew up in the church, and I'm an obsessive Dutchman who grew up in the church. So there's part of the reason that I like him, I think, is just because we would have, vibed. Can you talk about the I Ching basics, if there is such a thing? I can. I did a little bit on some videos that are in my Supernormal video series, but the basic thing about the I Ching, the very basics is it started off as an oracular system where you burned some bones, or you threw some yarrow stalks, and you used it to get 6 lines, and those 6 lines would equal one of 64 hexagrams, and each of those hexagrams would be an answer to the question that you asked the oracle. And it just so happens that there's also 64 codons in the human DNA. So people make a lot about that. Invisible Landscapes by Terence McKenna, Gene Keys by that guy, what's his name? Richard Rudd. I can see it over there. So it's, to me, having worked with some of the main oracular systems in the world, the I Ching has been completely life-changing because it has like a Taoism kind of feel to it constantly, but it can be very specific. You get stuff from the tarot, and sometimes it's like, what does that exactly mean? Usually you know what it means, but not always. With the I Ching being text-based and us being such a text-based society, as McLuhan goes off on so much, I think it works better with our brains, the I Ching, and so often the answers are very direct. It's not like some horoscopes where it's like, oh, this would work for anybody. It can be very, very direct, exactly on your situation in a very surprising way. So you can completely be a rationalist materialist and find the I Ching useful because it helps to focus yourself and think about the question that you ask. You get an answer that is worth pondering about balance and things like that. But I also, after so many years of working with it, feel like there really is some kind of presence there that you work with and that you should treat with respect. So the I Ching is just fascinating. I'm actually starting to do readings on it, with it, and it's the first time I'm doing paid readings in my life, but I've already done one with somebody, and it just flowed so easily. It was very clear what was being said, it felt like, and it was very gratifying to do it. So David, happy birthday. Thank you so much. And someone's asked how your day going. It's really good, thanks. It's the end of my birthday week, so it feels good. I don't not normally a big birthday person at all, but my wife surprised me with all of my great friends, and it's been pretty overwhelming. Very much so. So thanks. Yeah, thanks for asking. And feel free to toss out questions. I can't stay on a ton longer because I do have to finish off a piece of work, a piece of writing work tonight and hand it in, and then I'm traveling tomorrow. But I wanted to come on and make sure to do it. And so my plan is to always be on here at this time for at least half an hour, and an hour if I can swing it. But by then it's bedtime here. We need to start getting ready for bed. We get up early. Yeah, you got a 20-month-old and a 5-year-old, and it's great, but you get up early. See you on Discord, David. Great. Hey, Katie Bush, which I Ching do you use? I'm glad you asked, because Marianne, all the roses. Oof, my gosh. Thank you, I feel like a bullfighter. I don't quite know what roses are even, but except that they're lovely, and they're my daughter's favorite color, or the color pink, French for French for pink. Okay, so I Chings. Real quick, this is the classic, the Wilhelm Baines one. This is free online, but it's nice to have a copy of it. It's a classic translation that people would have been using for most of Western times. The people in the 60s and 70s who talk about using the I Ching, they would usually be using the Wilhelm Baines. The coolest modern thing I've ever seen is this John Minford I Ching, because not only does he have a really great take, he's going over a lot of the sources and commentators on the I Ching. He also has the original bone oracles in here. So the first half is like a modern I Ching reading, drawing a lot of different sources, and the second half is from a very, very old version before the I Ching kind of gradually became a spiritual tool, with the commentaries making it more of a heady thing, back to when it's talking about sacrificing, enemy soldiers and crops and things like that. The I Ching probably started as a tool of the rulers for what to do with the problems of everyday life in an agrarian society that had some wars. But Luckily, it would be run by the scholars, and probably most often the scholars would be wanting to tell the rulers, calm, balance, don't go attack them. Don't kill our children just for a little bit more land. That's the hope. So the Minford version is excellent. I also think the Taoist I Ching would resonate with a lot of people on here. Carol K. Anthony's A Guide to the I Ching is intriguing. It's a more feminist take that I like. And if you like obsessive old dudes who are just really funny, this guy, Keeg Alex Deeg, he is where is he from? He did this is just a really fascinating study of the I Ching, the 11th wing. He added there's usually 10 commentaries called the 10 wings of the I Ching. This is the 11th. He kind of he's not even that brave. He kind of modestly is like, no, this is the 11th commentary. I know there's 10 classics. I'm making this the new one. And you read it, and it's like, it's that good. It's like, yeah, I think so. Let's see. I don't want to miss too many of these. How do you get an I Ching reading from me? It is at the bottom of my link tree. So yeah, I just started doing it. It's $50 for an hour. And the most important part of the I Ching is the question that you ask. And you can ask something very broad and open. Sometimes it's great to be broad, like what energy should I be paying attention to in this situation? And sometimes it's great to be very specific. Should I, or not should, they tell me it's it's an influence of Saturn when you use the word should. What do you think about me taking this job? Or whatever your thing is. So working on the question really hard is what's gonna matter the most. Katie Bush, the sticks or the coins? I am sure that the sticks are using Yarrow stalks. People use it, but it takes about 4 times as long to use the Yarrow stalks. I don't do that. I don't know the system exactly, though the Fred Hatt, who I interviewed on the Lex Files, is an I Ching expert. Whenever I do a reading with him, that's how he does it. I use the coins because I understand them. I think the apps work just as well. I think a lot of it's taking the time to sit there and focus. But coins are nice because they are working with something. I think it helps focus your brain. But really sitting and doing it is probably the main thing. Katie, a 4-year-old and a 14-month-old. God bless you. I hope it's great. Name one more time of the I Chings. Okay, let me do them real quick. The Wilhelm Baines I Ching. The John Minford is the new I Ching. Then you have the Taoist I Ching and the 11th Wing by Keeg Alex Deeg. But the 11th Wing will find it. So, any recommendations for archaeoastronomy, cultural astronomy, and tarot astrology mysticism? Oh my god. Oh, you have such a good one. I have to run to my bedroom. I'll be right back. This is why I wish books were, you could pull books digitally. This is a book that speaking of archaeoastronomy, this is a book that Terence McKenna recommended. I think the best part of Terence McKenna is reading the books he recommends. I mean, he's amazing, he's a genius, but he's also a big part of his genius was being incredibly well read. And so this is Hamlet's Mill, and it's this really, really dense, one of the most dense books I've read in my life about this long exploration about celestial cosmology throughout various cultures and how it all comes back to something about our precession and the axes that we turn on relating to some star. But I have to say, it's a guy who wrote it with a woman. She was the myth expert, but Giorgio de Santillana is the person who I think did a lot of the writing. And what's fascinating about this is still don't know what he's trying to get at. He's keeping it a mystery where it's all going, and like sometimes it's so thick and I'm like, should I keep going? But it's such a fascinating study of different types of mythologies around the world, which I thought I knew pretty well, and I'm going through here and it's like, oh man, it's just so endless. So this is the coolest book I know on archaeoastronomy, which is not something I know particularly well. For tarot, astrology, and mysticism, I went through a bunch of books. They're at the top of my Supernormal playlist, so I have that. But I will say, since you're asking about the tarot, let's mention, one book that's just really on my heart because I haven't finished it by any means, but I'm going through it slowly. This is Meditations on the Tarot, a journey into Christian Hermeticism. And what's great about this is that it is, I like it was written anonymously, which is really cool. And so it is going through each of the tarot cards and talking about how it is a part of your spiritual journey. And it does it through a Christian mystic lens, but I like the Christian mystic lens because I spent so much of my life going away from the religion I grew up in and seeing it in the Sufi world or in the Buddhist world or whatever. And then you come back, it's like, oh, the Christians have this. They have it just as deeply. And those nuns are wild for the social justice. It's nice to come back to your home religion and be like, oh, it's all here too. This is just a really excellent take on the tarot. So I would say Meditations on the Tarot. It's great. After these lives, I have just piles of books over here that I have to put back where they go. So I am getting closer to the end of my time, unfortunately, but I will go a little bit longer. Did I upload this live somewhere? Missed parts of it. Yes, I am putting my lives on my YouTube channel. And I'm trying to build up my YouTube channel. I've been putting up a video every day on the science of this plant, which I'm going to stop saying the word of. But I also have educational videos for people using that plant, especially for older people. So that's my business. That's what I do. I create content around that plant and other types of head twisters. So my YouTube has mostly been that, but I want to start double posting stuff on TikTok and over on my YouTube as well. So the lives are currently going up on YouTube the next day. I just bought Meditation on the Tarot. Good for you. Enjoy it. That's great. A couple times so far I've heard people say, oh, I just bought that because of a book I recommended, and it's wonderful. I mean, it feels like that's what I'm here to do, is to just spread book recommendations around the world. Hello, fellow geriatric millennial. Amen. I'm just on the cusp with it. Yeah. And yeah, that's the last. Yeah, and so for the spirit, that's the last spiritual mystic book I'll do for this minute. Because I do have a lot. If you look at my mysticism supernormal playlist, not only are there a bunch of ones about individual books, pretty recently I did a stack of mystical books that I just moved around with my new to get them on my new bookshelves, and it is. It's a great look really quickly at about 40 or 50 good books in this world that are worth reading. But as always, hit me up in the comments of videos, or even better on the Discord, about the stuff that interests you, and I'll make individual videos about each book and why I like it. So it's right on 9 o'clock here, so I should probably be going pretty soon. And let's see. Just making sure that there's no messages on the other channels. But I could probably take one more question if anybody has anything they want to know about. My poor hands, they're cracking from driving these kids around on the bike in the cold. All right. You know what I'll end with something I was going to make a video about, even though it's off topic, but since I started this channel out of the love of books, and I don't need to get lost in the mysticism just because it's what blew up. The thing I was going to do is the golden age of illustration. I collect illustrations and illustrators because I use them in my graphic novels. I splice them up again. This is Warwick Goebel, who did a whole bunch of fairy tale illustrations about 100 years ago or so, and a bunch of other people's stuff. And so this is a great collection by Dover Press, I assume. God bless you, Dover Press. If you're ever watching this, I would love to be your spokesperson. Just send me books. You pull together beautiful books of important people. This is Edmund Dulac. This is a collection of everything he does. And it's such wonderful art. It just brings you into these mystical realms. And I think, so much of human history, they didn't have, you have to remember, they didn't have television. They just had these beautiful pictures. So the Buddhist iconography, the Christian drawings, these are all ways to use the medium of sight to to inspire wonder. And to see that now morph to art itself being a mystical pursuit, you know, in the Oscar Wilde kind of sense, it's a really beautiful thing. And I think it's what's great about being alive right now is there are all these different ways to approach both art and religion and mysticism. There's one. What's my all-time favorite mysticism book? Oh man. You know what? I just glanced at it and there's a type of I have a book of like an occult dictionary. It's just a really good one, and it has a lot of different types of divination in it, which always fascinates me. Different things that we humans use. One of my favorites is apatomancy. Apatomancy is divination by the first thing that comes to your eye. And I very much believe in that. That so often you just need to glance at a thing and then your subconscious will tell you how that relates to the question you were asking. So you asked what's a very favorite one, and this is a book from Uncle Buck's collection, the friend of the family who passed on 66 boxes of books to me that I'm still just starting to work through. It's a beautiful collection of everything. He has, I'm not always into the portable books. This is a portable Blake book that is just so well done. It's an old edition pulled together by Alfred Kazin, who is a great thinker on this stuff. And I just been doing bibliomancy with it because it's too big to just start reading straight through in a sense. But I sometimes just open it and leave the bookmarks there and keep reading through it. And you see how far ahead of his time he was in all of these different directions. He was just making stuff up and couldn't make any money with it. Lived, you know, such a hard life, but he had this vision burning in his head, and he just pursued it his entire life because it's what mattered and it's what counted. And so this blend of mysticism and art and, you know, the advent of graphic novels in some sense started with Blake. So I'd say the stuff I know of Blake is the greatest of the mysticism I know, and so many of his lines have just embedded themselves into my soul and just come to my lips all the time because they're so important. So I'll probably stop with that because I don't know anything about Sabian symbols. I looked it up quick on Wikipedia, but that's not enough that I should say anything about it. So that's it for tonight. I gotta get back to work. But I just want to say thanks so much to everybody for coming out. It's just it's a great way to connect. And if you want to connect more, the Discord is now open. The Church of Why Not? ? They'll let me know if you have other ideas for names. That was the first one that came to mind, but I know churches can turn people off. I should have a book recommendation directory for occult stuff. That's a good idea. I could see how I could put that together. Maybe even just a living Google Doc and with links to the videos. That's a really good idea. All right. Well, I'll leave it there, and I'll say thank you so much to everybody for joining. This will be up on YouTube quite soon. Hopefully I'll have time to do it before I leave. And good night to all of you, and God bless. Mwah. And now the awkward part where you just stare at my face while I figure out how to do this. There it is. Okay, bye everyone.